I'm starting a podcast. Do you want to be on it?
Hell yeah.
Good. It's already here. Anyway, welcome to Catchy Chatter. This is season 1, episode 1. Meet the professor. I don't think we've actually gotten an introduction. This is the Professor Crow. He got that dog in him, if you can't tell by his PFP here. And you'd think they call him Professor Crow because he's given everyone lessons in life, but really they call him Professor Crow because he'd be cooking in a lab. Am I right?
You feel me? They just know that I got my hand in different pots. That's all it is.
Yeah.
What's poppin', y'all? Settle in and lock in class. Y'all gonna get another heaping helping of life lessons and comedic satire from the one and only Zaina and myself.
Yeah, we've had our just rounds of banter before. It's been a while, actually, but hell, we started getting along and shit back in, I want to say 2021, 2022. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'd even say 2020. Like when I started being around in the community, it wasn't long before I got introduced to you.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, I remember because I've been around since like I've been a mod for Schwabity for ages. For at least since 2020.
Facts.
Yeah, so why don't you tell everyone here a little bit about yourself, you know?
All right. Well, brief introduction to your professor. I go by the name Professor Kuro. Reason being, Kuro is the word black in Japanese, and I like to believe that I learn and can teach things of all different variety. Just as how black is the amalgamation of all colors, I seek to be the amalgamation of knowledge and connections. I learn by teaching, and I teach by learning.
Yeah, that's pretty much accurate. Hell, you learn something every day in a Kuro stream, let me tell you.
Big facts. What was the what was the word? What did I say in stream? What was the word of the day? I'm crying.
Shoot.
Oh.
You know what's funny is I was actually gonna do a bit with it and I forgot the word too.
That's how you know we were cooked today. Bro, I was literally on my last, like, not even brain cell. I was just on the, like, hanging flagella of the neuron, just trying to stay alive as a human being.
Yeah, I feel I'm gonna be real. I started today just kind of groggy and just kind of struggling.
You know, it's one of those days you pick up steam through.
Yeah.
And by pick up steam, I just mean you just shoot people in Fortnite with friends until you feel better.
Well, that's not Steam. That's Epic, actually. But I get.
And now you see where I was cooking. That's why I rock with you. You're locked in. You're with me.
Yeah. Pretty much that's how I tend to vibe. If I don't start off with a bit of energy, it takes a minute, but then I keep going until I can't stop.
That's usually how it goes, unless I have something like from within, like the Twitch or like the streaming interaction that makes me go, you know what, actually, you don't get my time today, and then I'm just out.
Yeah.
Liberation.
All right, I need to take a sip of water.
Gotta hydrate. It's very important.
Right, so we've known each other for a few years, and in those few years, we've seen each other grow and shit. We've seen people around us grow and do great things.
Right.
So in just like the past couple years, right? What are some of the highlights you've experienced in both just out in the world and as your growth as a person?
Ooh, I'll do one that's specifically tethered to the content world. One accolade rather than highlight that I take great pride in actually is that over the past 4 years since I've joined, I don't even say since I joined the nerd community, since I just started content really and embarked on like the journey of being a musician. I had one goal specifically with nerdcore in mind, is that I wanted to walk nerdcore. Like I wanted to connect with the generations, the different subsections, and the fringe elements. Because nerdcore it's an umbrella term, right? Like we use it a lot, but really it applies to anything that is just you making art or something inspired by fiction, right? Like that's really what
Yeah,
nerdcore is. And honestly, after this past NPC, having met MC Front a lot, I can honestly say I've either met or have had like interactions with pretty much the whole anthology of nerdcore. Like I've
yo,
met Richie, I've met Ran, I've met Super O, I've met Oh My and the rest of the hacker core. I've met Shubs, I've met Prob Bob, what was it, DJ Rockman, like so many different like sections and corners of the community, and Lex, and getting to do that, it really it make it I take pride in it just because it lets me see that if you truly love this community and you want to be a part of it for the sake of being a part of it, and you walk that line, they're all there. Like it very much really shows that like no one really leaves nerdcore or anything like that. It's just the lanes are all around. So I think that would be one big accolade that I've achieved over these past couple of years, is like really sticking to that idea of like nerdcore as a whole, not just the subsets we know it as.
yeah, I've pretty much honestly one of the reasons you and I get along pretty well is we're kind of in the same boat. Uh, I've been a little withdrawn like for a couple years, but generally I'm dancing around the outskirts, interacting with like a lot of just smaller people, some of the old heads and shit. Uh, hell, oh my is the fucking chill guy. Like
Oh my, hilarious.
anytime I post a fit, like anytime I post a fit on Facebook or like sometimes on Twitter, he's one of the first people who's like, "Damn, that's fire."
No, he's a supporter for real.
Yeah,
And then in my personal life, for me as a human, I would say sense of identity. I think especially over the past 5 years of my life, that's something that I've really like hunkered down on and like chased, really, was deeper and deeper levels of like self-understanding and like acceptance and love. And am I who I am because of my actions? Am I who I am because of my thoughts? Or am I simply who I am because I am who I am, and my thoughts and actions are programs and byproducts that I facilitate because I am me?
you know what? That in of itself is also a little bit relatable. Hell, even just this past year alone, I've gone through so much. Everyone publicly knows me as Xana. That's actually what I've been going as before Xana Kitty was a thing. And even that has changed behind the scenes for folks in the know. And yeah, honestly, time changes so much stuff. just in the past year, I went from living in like Georgia, and now I'm in Illinois of all places.
You got in your shy town, and honestly, it's more than just time changes things. It's presence, right?
Yeah, like the people you meet, the people you keep around you, the ones that like help you through it, you know?
Yeah. That
Like,
presence of mind. It's that presence of time.
yeah,
Presence of others. It's great. Actually, it's ironic. Here comes a curl lesson. The word presence having multiple meanings, yet all of them all mean the same thing, right? Like you have a presence, you can be present, and then you could be surrounded by presences, but all of them are rooted in that temporal concept of immediate location and time of now and here.
see, what I tell ya, you learn something every day around fucking Kuro. That's why he's Professor Kuro.
I swear to God, it's really just me spending way too many nights at 3 a.m. being like, existential question. Most people go to
Yeah.
existential dread. I'm like, no, we're going to figure this shit out. Throw my head against the wall for hours, and then the next day comes and I'm bloodied and beaten, but I'm like, I do have the answer. Eureka!
Oh, I have a cough. 1 second. My throat's itchy. Right. So, anyways, I've been seeing you get on stage a lot more lately. How have you been enjoying that? What's that like? Just doing hype stuff for folks.
I love being on stage. I can't even lie. I can't deny it. Like it's not even hubris or ego. There is something that you can't quantify when, especially, and I'll tackle it from I actually have done a full set of my own recently in Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, in Allentown, PA. Shout out Grayson for that showcase, Star City showcase, and then the VIP party at NPC. So I'll look at it through those lenses.
Yo, congrats on this, by the way.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. The remarkable opportunities. When you get to be on stage, right? A lot of people they feel that fear and the anxiety because it's like, wow, it's like, 1,500 people are staring at me and I'm the one that has to hold all their attention, and like there's a weight to it, right? Not for me, because I'm crazy as shit, and I'm like, yes, look at me, because guess what? You're not 1,500 people to me. You're one person to me. That's my mentality when I'm on stage. It's not me and the 1,500 people in the crowd. It's me and the crowd singular.
Yeah.
And as long as we have that rapport and our energies can connect, it leads to just such beautiful moments. Like when I was doing the whole VIP party hosting with Jack from Nerd Out, there were sound issues, and there were multiple times where they would be like, yo, Crow, you need to get up on stage, you need to do something, like you need to fill it like right now. And just because of the fact that from when me and Jack first stepped on stage, we really locked in with the crowd, and it's like, it's us tonight, like we're doing this event together, and like keeping that crowd interaction going and through the games and all that stuff. I realized that I just like being able to hold court. I like being able to talk to people. I like being able to connect. Even when I did my set at Grayson's show, it wasn't like how a lot of other people do their sets where it's like 15 minutes of straight music. No, I cut out a whole song's worth of time space just so that I can talk to the audience, open up with some jokes, have a little rapport, share a little bit about myself, learn a little bit about the crowd, because it's all this living organism that if we combine, it becomes this greater thing, right? It's not me, the performer, and you, the crowd. It's not us, it's the event or the energy or that moment. It becomes something a bit bigger. And I personally love the ability to be able to run up on stage and support my peers and coworkers and be able to bring that energy and that connection and that grounding to their sets and some of their songs, because it feeds that cycle, right? You're a performer and you're a little nervous. You have this X factor now that comes in, breaks the screen, and now everyone's on the same level. Everyone's in the same mode. Uh, so no, I absolutely have been blessed to be able to be on stage and have the experiences I've been able to have, especially this past year, and really hone in on who and how I want to be on these stages and in these moments, and also how I want to be perceived. And that rapport has really been growing. And I owe it, honestly, I owe it to the fans and the community. Really,
Yeah.
they rock with me, I rock with them, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yo, where Kuro at?" And I'm like, "I'm right here."
I wanna see that's one thing I wanna reach for a little bit more is stage time. I used to a couple of things about me for anyone I haven't already told this. I used to be a dance student back in high school, and I
Yeah.
used to be like on stage during raves at cons a couple times here and there, and like there's a different energy when I'm on stage versus when I'm wandering around, you know? Like I feel like I can let more energy out just being there versus
Yeah.
like in a room or walking around places. That being said, I also really love capturing the moment. I like a little bit of everything. I'm gonna be real. But hell, capturing the moment as well as living in it is part of what I do for events that I go to. Like pretty much every
Yeah.
con I'm filming and shit. I get to be in this crowd on the stage, capturing the moment. Everything.
You get all perspectives.
Okay, I need to take another sip of water.
Hell yeah. Cheers.
Okay. So I wanted just to ask. Actually, I completely blanked on the thing. Actually, no, wait. Now I remember. But, I wanted to ask. When do you start getting into doing what you do? Like, how did Professor Kuro start? Where does Professor Kuro come from?
So that is, I love that question. So Professor Kuro, ironically enough, was a miracle. Because it wasn't my idea, it was God's, really. So here's the story of how it happened. I eventually reached a point, as everyone does in their life, of growing up with the internet and watching YouTube and absorbing content. You always explore, you find more stuff, right? So I was big into all anime, manga, comics, just fiction, creativity, all that shit, right? Big into it. I'm always exploring other channels, Tekking 101, Ohara, you know what I'm saying, Grand Line Review, uh, Nuxtaku, whatever may have you, like the AniTube world. And I was watching that, and there was a huge niche that I realized was absolutely open. And I was like, oh, I'd love to create a channel where, like, I really like educate this shit. Like, the reason why I'm called Professor Kuro, the reason why Professor was even in my name, it never had anything to do with reactions or nerdcore. I was gonna teach anime. I was gonna take
Hey,
big name shonen series, like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and summarize them, arc by arc, saga by saga. And then after I do the summaries, I actually do character analysis, power discussions, that sort of thing. And so I was like, oh, okay. Like, teaching anime, like I might as well call it Professor something. And I sat down one day and I was like, all right, let me just make all the accounts now because I know I want to do this. And I'm trying to think of a name, and then boom, God just hands it down to my brainstem and says Kuro, and I'm like, oh, that's hard as shit. I'm definitely doing that. So I made all the accounts. Then I met a friend who put me on to like reactors of Nerdcore, and I was because I knew Nerdcore. I met him, we connected off that, and then I started to really like watch the reactors, and I was like, oh, like these reactors are really cool. MG, Tev, Schwab, early Game Boy. And so like I'm watching all these reactors, and like me and this friend, like every time like certain drops would happen, like I drag him in VC. I'm like, yo, did you see? Da 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 da. And I remember a specific track was the Todoroki one with Cam Steady and Game Boy Jones from DPS.
Yeah.
And I remember like sitting him down and calling, like breaking down every lyric from it, right? Because Game Boy had a crazy verse on that. I can't lie. Like the ice doubles was going sick. And my friend looked at me. He's like, yo, you know all this shit and you can break down all these fucking lyrics. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do reactions? And I was like, well, that's a really good point. I haven't thought of that. And so I started doing reactions. And actually, though, and this is the hidden lore that a lot of people forget. The first thing I ever did on YouTube, the first piece of content I ever created or uploaded, was actually a verse for an open verse challenge that Dizzy 8 put out. And that is actually how like I started my foray into content creation. I did that verse, uploaded it. Then my first 3 reactions was the first worldwide cipher by Screwface Jean. Then it was the Zuko rap from DPS and the Yami rap from Diggs the Prophecy. And that is how I got into reacting. And I was already doing music on my own, not uploading anything, but like I've been a musician for now a decade, actually. Shit. Fuck. Yeah, I've been a musician for about a decade now. It's just that none of my musicianship was able to be showcased. I trained in drums in Japan, specifically taiko drums. That's been a lot of like my musical training, percussion. And then on my own, like I've just naturally been a very wordsy person, so lyricism and lyric writing kind of came second nature. And then, well, I realized, wait, I can make bars about the shit I actually like and referentials, and I can write through my own lens without having to like worry, like, oh, is this weird or whatever. And then the rest is still being written as you see today.
Yeah. Quite a story, to be honest, and still ongoing.
Still ongoing. No, that's the one thing that I always loved about this community is that if you sit any one of us down of like, so how did you get here? I don't think anyone has a story that just goes, so I'm here. I think there's maybe like 2 or 3 people that are just like, I was a big fan of this person, and then I met this person, and then we started working together, and I'm like, all right, clean pipeline, respect it. I didn't have that.
we just got like a couple of industry plants.
Just a handful.
Yeah, just be like, if we've been here, you know. Didn't say anything. They just slid right in.
They just hit the shadow step real quick. Yeah, that is the story of how Kuro came to be.
Also, similarly enough, I'm also a music student. I've spent 3 years of middle school and like a good chunk of high school doing band, orchestra, and piano, as well as dance. I've fallen out of practice of so many instruments. I'm trying to get back into it. I've been getting more and more back into practicing my instruments since my move. I definitely got into... So, when you don't have a living situation that you can actually, practice music in without being a disturbance, it's a struggle. And I'm finally in an environment where I can do that. And so that's one of the things I'm working on.
Hell yeah. No, that's awesome. What was your favorite band instrument?
Right, so back while I was in like Marietta, Georgia, I went to this one high school. And I joined orchestra for about a year. And I played double bass. I loved my 3/4 double bass that my teacher assigned me. It is hands down my favorite instrument to play that I have learned. However, since my orchestra days, I've just not touched a double bass because those shit's expensive and massive. Like, where the fuck am I gonna store a double bass?
Yeah, they're not just like lying around casually, right?
But yeah, in learning bass, and beforehand, I had like 2 years of guitar. So I took what I learned from double bass and what I know of guitar and applied it to practicing bass guitar for a little bit. So I currently have an acoustic guitar, electric bass. I also have a little starter keyboard because I got that for cheap.
Nice. No, that's dope. That's a collection.
Yeah, I'm that plus practicing vocals and stuff more. Like more than anything, there's like 3 things I'd like to do musically. I would like to like learn and like get good at instruments that I had actual interest in when I was younger, which is like double bass, and I wanted to learn trumpet, but there were too many people playing trumpet back when I was in band, so I got put on trombone. But trumpet's something I wanted to pick up for ages. I just haven't got around to yet.
That shit too beautiful. Trumpet, fresh. I love brass. That brass section might be my favorite section. It'd be between brass or string.
Yeah. Back when I was in band, everyone wanted to be either percussion or trumpet. It was insane.
I mean, it makes sense too, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, it's kind of like the thoughtiest instruments, real rap. Like, let's be honest. Anyone at that age group that was interested in drums, there's only 2 reasons. I need to hit something. Oh, I'm trying to hit something. You know,
Yo. Man.
you mean?
Yeah. Look, I will say, I've not gotten good at drumming whatsoever, but I own drumsticks and do occasionally just like hit stuff because it's fun to stem and I can at least carry a beat. I don't have the best coordination, but like I dabble in everything. But I was saying something. Yeah, I was talking about like the other stuff I wanted to do. I wanted to learn more instruments, like get back to practicing instruments, and I wanted to do more vocally because I've gotten to a point where I actually like my voice. I like what I can do with my voice. I struggle with recording a lot, but as I do it a little more here and there, I start to get the hang of it, I guess.
The biggest thing with getting comfortable with your voice recording is there's like three things to it. One, it's being able to hear yourself back while you're recording, like that monitoring, so that you actually feel like, oh, the way I'm producing my voice is the way I want it to sound, and it's all like fitting that circuit. Two is honestly just realizing that half of the time we're completely overthinking how we're like inputting our voice into recording because we're trying to think of the delivery rather than delivering the delivery.
Yeah.
And then three is hearing yourself on a good enough mix to actually understand, oh, I know what I felt and like how I was when I recorded that take. And now that I hear it in a good mix, it's like, oh, okay, like I have been doing it right. I just need to believe in it more. Cause that was one of the big hangups for me, especially like in the last like year, was that I felt like I was like rapidly accelerating all my skill trees, but I was like, every time I set to record, like shit's not hitting right. And then one day I just was like in my room and I was having like a really calm day, and I was like, you know, like I just gotta make these performance tracks for the set I told you about in Allentown. And when I sat to make the performance tracks, I wasn't really thinking of my delivery. Like I wasn't trying to be super on paper. I'm like, these are just like ad libs, doubled lines for whenever I need like a breath take or whatever, like while I'm performing. And when I recorded those and like did a light mix on those and I heard them, I was like, why does this sound better than most of the shit I've recorded? And then I realized, oh, because I actually did it right for the first time without realizing it. And that's when I kind of started changing the mentality around like my perception of me recording versus what is the actuality of me recording.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely get in my head a lot when it comes to recording. I'm definitely the type of person that just overthinks. But I eventually get through it. One of the struggles I do have is articulation. It takes me in particular, I struggle with just articulating words, like pronunciation and stuff, like getting the words out of my mouth. And so being consistent with that, making sure it sounds good to me is always a struggle in of itself. But I still push on. I've even been writing some stuff. I've been writing more in the past year than I have been.
Oh yeah. And I'll be honest, as like I've been thinking about it, and like, yeah, like enunciating and making sure that you're like crystal clear pronouncing every word as you rap along and you stay on beat and you got to make sure that you pronounce to a T. That's like real cool and all, but fuck it. If you got a little drawl, a little accent, a little some, that just might be a thing. Like sometimes when I'm recording, like I know a word will come out and it'll come out exactly how I want it to come out, and it won't be like 100% crisp audible. And I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm like, this shit hard. Like it sounds like it flowed. You probably can catch the word, and if you can't, it's inconsequential anyways. You just keep the vibe. Cause I'll be listening to, like, for example, like Kodak Black has a thick ass Floridian draw. You know what I'm saying? Like Lil Wayne got a thick ass Louisianian. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these artists have really, really characteristic voices that aren't 100% the cleanest in their delivery, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Like that nigga ain't saying Wheezy F baby. So I think there's a happier middle ground there where you can comfortably lean into like the natural intonations and vocal characteristics that you have, while also making sure that you're still producing an audible, clean take. It's just not about being perfectly soliloquist. I definitely just made that word up. But more so about just actually being able to make sure that shit hit. Hasik's another perfect example of it. He has no accent, but like he'll purposely do accented things or in doubles and layering that he'll have like weird tones and runs that you wouldn't normally think, but then when layered all together, you're like, oh wow, that shit fucking hits. Perfect example, his background vocals on the song Fahrenheit with Maguire.
Oh yeah.
Literally, at one point in the background goes, "Wah!" and that shit goes dumb hard as an ad lib. Where
Yeah.
you wouldn't think to go wah, because you're like, that's not pleasant, and then you realize that shit is pleasant.
Yeah, I definitely need to carry that sort of attitude. It's definitely a little more refreshing hearing someone have the kind of take you have on shit, you know?
Because the thing is that a lot of everyone has opinions, right? I've said this a bunch of times in the past 3 years, and shout out Diamonds for putting me onto this philosophy. We were never meant to know these many people's thoughts and opinions all at once. And I genuinely believe that that is a true statement for just the entirety of the human race right now.
Yeah.
At any one moment, you can be exposed to quite literally a billion different perspectives and ideas. Half of them are worth shit. In fact, most of them are worth shit. You know what's the only opinion that really matters? Yours. If you make this shit and you're like, yo, this shit's hard. Like I literally, for example, I remember I was having a conversation before I released my song Psycho, inspired by Mob Psycho. And it was a very, very different song for me. Like auto-tune, rage type beat, super singy, way out my wheelhouse. Way out my wheelhouse. And I liked it. And Diamond was like, I'm gonna let you know this shit is not gonna hit. And I'm like, Diamonds, I'm gonna let you know I know this shit doesn't hit. But for me, I just need to do this. And he was like, nah, mad respect. And I love that conversation because he let me know as a friend, like real good homie shit, like this isn't it. And then I also knew that as an artist, I needed the experiment of trying that, of seeing, does it miss 100%? Do they still see the idea? And it was very gratifying for me because they 100% proved Diamonds right. They were like, yeah, this one's a little off. But everyone that said that also said, this is a great idea. The auto tune needs to be cleaner, or the mix could have been done better, or they show that the bare bones, the roots are there, the thing that I needed to make sure were good, whereas everything that Diamonds was worried about, he was correct for worrying about because they were not good. And I just love when opinions and perspectives are allowed to coexist and overlap rather than collide and clash. You actually get to see more finer detail and better growth rather than that combativeness that usually ends up in leading to stagnation.
Yeah. But for me, it's definitely fun and makes things a little bit easier to at least bounce things off of people, even if it doesn't work out, because it gives me an idea of what I could do that works both for me, but also like just in general. Because like sometimes I don't see what I could be doing wrong in one way or another. And so like having someone help guide is always good, or coming in with just some sort of new take or different spin on a take that gives you a little bit more both insight and outward perspective, I guess is a good way to phrase it.
No, that's facts. You cooked just now.
Yo, I've said this before, at least in DMs. I love cooking.
As made evident by you getting lost in the rabbit hole of cook ideas today. That should have me cry.
Look, my Canon cooks with the flash, you know.
I'm crying. No, we're not. We don't need to go back down this rabbit hole. We don't.
Look, I like rabbit holes, wink wonk. My Hero Academia, for example. I have like no further discussion on that matter.
I'm scared to respond to anything you said after you said rabbit hole wonk wonk.
I said wink wonk.
Hashtag protect all rabbits. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Except for Usagi-yama. Mirako does not need to be protected. She needs to be found and brought to me effective immediately.
Pretty much anyone who is playing Final Fantasy 14. Hi there, watching.
Nah, shout out Final Fantasy 14 for real. That's my shit.
I know, right? Like,
I'm obsessed with my little fucking aura. Little dragony guy.
Yo, I'm also an Aura.
Hey, let's go. That's fire. I didn't even know. That's lit.
Yeah, I'm just the short, purple-haired goth Nora. Little lizard. Lizard girl.
You're the little lizard girl. I'm the tallest shit, horned, not horny, horned Aura. I think I have a picture. I think I sent it to Callan. A picture of my character. I was so happy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm loving Final Fantasy 14. That shit is actually fun as shit.
Yeah,
big fun.
I need to play it more often. I definitely have. I definitely have the means to do so. It's definitely a lot easier to do so here. Now that I've moved, gosh, a lot of things are easier now that I've moved. God damn. But like, I was off and on for a little bit. I am a little. I think I'm about halfway through Endwalker. I can't say much because I don't want to fucking spoil, but like, it's definitely a very good game. I highly recommend it for anyone who wants to at least try. It's got a free trial, and I think the free trial is going up into like, it's not just Heavensward anymore. It's the 1 or 2 that come after it, because
the free trial really just lasts for 30 days. That's really what it is. The free trial is like, how far can you get?
Well, no, the free trial is basically until you get everything maxed and to like the level cap of wherever the current expansion is. Like the current baseline expansion, I should say. Is a good way.
You know it's a subscription now, right?
Yeah, like
that's what I meant by the free trial only lasts for 30 days. Because you could like, yes, you could get to the level cap, but can you do it in 30 days?
Wait, it's only 30 days? I thought it was just like free until a certain point, and then you have to pay to get other content, and then after your first sub is when that, unless they change it, I don't know.
They did. As someone who just got the game a month ago and now has to pay for the monthly subscription next week. Yes. This is the new meta.
That is dumb.
Yeah, no, but it's honestly so worth it.
Yeah.
It's a great game, great community. The YouTube videos guide really well. There's like nothing but fucking, hey, do you need this tip? Hey, do you need to know how to do this? Hey, do you want our online guide that tells you how to do everything? And I'm like, no, please shut up, because I have friends and they'll tell me what to do, not you.
I found myself very lucky in Final Fantasy 14. Like I went on a year hiatus once, and I returned, and upon me returning, I received like just enough gil to drop on a house, and like people just giving me stuff. Really, people have been giving me so much stuff.
It's actually crazy.
It's so nice. It's nice having the sort of support to help you get reacclimated to the game. Like, it's one thing to start from scratch and then relearn from the start, but once you're like a certain ways in, you really don't want to do it from scratch. and like having the sort of support I've had has made Final Fantasy a lot easier for me to like enjoy. I will say, once I got to a certain point, I definitely just started enjoying like the more chill stuff. Did you know that you can go to cafes? Like there's cafes and stuff in Final Fantasy that you can just go in. They'll give you coffee and stuff and chat. And then there's like clubs. They have clubs in Final Fantasy 14. You can go in, emote with your friends, and the person hosting the party has a stream going where they're usually DJing and shit. Like there's so much social stuff going on in Final Fantasy 14. Like if you just want to take a break from the gameplay and experience the community, definitely explore homes and stuff.
Nah, the thing I'm most looking forward to, fishing.
Yo, fishing's
Fucking
fun.
love fishing.
Look, any game with fishing in it is immediately game of the year. If your game doesn't have fishing in it, if it doesn't even have a fishing pole in the background, is it even a game?
That is the truth, though.
Alright, so low-key, I've run out of things that I wanted to really get into. More or less just kind of hidden.
Nah, I feel like we have a good full episode of vibes, lessons, memories, moments, and jokes.
I will say, let's do one more thing and then start wrapping up. So, anime.
Right.
We both like anime. Hi, I'm an anime cat girl streaming live on twitch.tv/Xanakitty. Or Xanakitty, anywhere else you might listen to this. So recently I started catching up with a few shows. I caught up with the dub of One Piece. I've been watching it dub as a means to consume it a little passively while I do other things. I've been really enjoying One Piece.
Hell yeah.
I have caught up to Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, which, by the way, the third season ending is actually a banger. I specifically want to make a song one day that has like vocals like that.
Okay.
And then, gosh, there is. I have been watching so many. I've watched so much stuff. I could go on, but what's something recently you've watched that?
Wisteria Sword and Wand. Wisteria Sword and Wand. God, I need people to understand that show is so good and refreshing. Two series that honestly came out this year that absolutely swept me off my feet. Windbreaker and Wisteria Sword and Wand. Those two series absolutely swept me off my feet. 2023 was the year of Undead Unluck. I am a huge fan of Undead Unluck. I love Undead Unluck, and Undead Unluck, Windbreaker, and Wisteria Sword and Wand are three series that I love so much. I refuse, and quote me on this, I refuse to read the manga for them. And I'm me.
Yeah.
That's how much anime.
Yeah. I've also I'm pretty sure we've caught up on My Hero Academia. Frieren is actually an anime I want to talk to more people about.
I need to watch it still. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I just need to find a good like binge weekend for it, because I feel like that show I'd appreciate more as a binge than how I like to consume nowadays, which is like sporadic episodes.
Yes, Free Run is definitely please just sit down. Don't watch an episode a day. Watch it just seamless, at least a few episodes through.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it needs like a good like 4-episode bulks. I feel like are like how it should be.
Yeah, it is genuinely. There is a reason this show blew Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood of all anime out of the water on my anime list. Like, not even by like a couple of decimals. No, like this was as close to a 10-point rating as any anime's ever been on my anime list.
I hate my anime list. Just complete side note. Sorry, I just needed to say that.
Oh no, like Mal is kind of silly in of its own right, but like no other animes come that close to like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Just anywhere.
No, that is true. The biggest thing for me was when I actually understood what the point. Because like Friar and Journey's End, I'm like, what the fuck is that, right? But once I actually understood, I'm like, nah, this is the series. Because one of the things that I always get upset about in series is that, and it's gonna sound like I get mad that series end, and that's not what I'm saying. Please follow me to the end. I hate the fact that we never actually get to see the world the character's trying to build, right? Like,
Yeah.
Let's remove Boruto for existence and look at Naruto, right? This whole time, this guy's like, I'm going to become Hokage so that everyone has to recognize me. And then he's like, I'm going to be Hokage so that the village is safe. And he's like, now I'm the Hokage and I'm married. But we never actually get to like see and enjoy it and like inhabit that world for a time. And now we have Boruto, so my point is semi-mute. But the idea that so many times we're trying to change the world, but yet we never actually get to see the world we changed. Hearing a series like Frieren is very refreshing, because it's like, well, what happens after this series? Hello, Moth. How and when did you get in my room? That's a good question. Sorry. Cute little Moth just walked in.
Yeah, one thing I really like about Freerun is just the way that it does its world building, the way it really goes into depth, the philosophy behind like just passing time, different world perspectives of different characters. Like without spoiling much, like you follow an elf that just lives for what, so long, and that the lifespan of a human is a blink to her, and she's going on this journey, and you get to see the world around her evolve on this journey, and you get to see the way people perceive things like time, death, change.
See, I'd love to be a character in that show, because I swear me and Freyren would be cooking. What? She love my ass.
I mean, probably you'd have stuff to say that she'd listen to.
And to be honest, when it comes to people that are like that, I feel like that's just the most effective thing. When you spend your time, right? Like, I haven't seen Freyren, but like I can imagine if you're, millennia, centuries, eons old, you don't often hear shit that you want to actually listen to, because you're like, well, I've been alive and I've heard all this shit.
Yeah. Definitely, Kuro, watch this at some point in the near future. I will sit you down and make you watch Freerun. I've already done that to a few people. This is my gospel. Everyone has their like gospel anime, right? That they preach. For some it's One Piece. For me, it's Frieren and another anime.
No, that's a fire one. No, I'm definitely gonna watch it. And if I don't, if I'm ever in a physical location where you're also there, then you'll be able to get me to watch it.
All right. Well. There was an anime I was thinking of. So, what I can't remember what it's called. So you brought it up earlier. It's not out yet, but it's coming out soon. Sakamoto Days, I think.
Oh, yes. That shit gonna be fire.
That's gonna be fun. I'm excited for that. I wanted to say that. And I guess we'll wind down here for now. Thanks for coming on by. Is there anything you'd like to say to viewers, listeners?
Yes. Number one, shouts out to the one and only Zaina Kitty for having me on today. Shouts out to all of you for taking time out to listen. Hope you learned something. Hope you laughed. Hope we were able to pour into you and make your day a little better and make you feel a little bit more like yourself. And stream my music, real rap.
Yeah, Professor Kuro everywhere, I think, or like Kuro Professor on a couple of things. I forget what.
Nah. To be honest, I think Twitter's the only thing where it's like Kuro_Professor. Everywhere else, it's like the full Professor Kuro.
Yeah. And I've been your host, Zaina Kitty. Thanks for listening, everyone. Y'all take care. I'll see y'all around. Until next time.